No African leader is corrupt. They are corrupted. The pyramid, which part is larger, the bottom or the top?
The bottom.
Okay, the bottom. So you have 130 million Nigerians. You pick just few and put them at the top.
Oh, we didn't pick them.
Hold on. However they got to the top. The reason you're talking about them is because of where they are only mirroring what is going on here. Because you pick them from among you. No way if I toss a coin from 1960, it will keep falling on the head. Every single country in Africa says they pick a wrong leader every 4 years. It's impossible, Eileen.
But at the same time, there's a lot of corruption.
There is no corruption. They are corrupted because what you are giving them to do is foreign. Let me ask you, do you know a single political system in the continent of Africa that was originated from the people? So how did you get your political systems? What do you mean?
It's them through hierarchy.
No, the political systems you're using today. Colonization. Why did you keep it when you know it's foreign?
Because that's all our ancestors knew.
No, they didn't know that. They were ruling themselves. The former administrations, the Oduduwa, the Benin Empire, they all have what they understood and what they can. You thought you want to be like the people who colonized you, so you accepted what they left behind. Do you know until recently you have to go to Britain to look at your constitution? So if there is no original political system, how do you expect Tinubu to understand it?
So who should we put, a British person?
You have to. Like many countries did it, when something is repeating itself, don't repeat the method. Every change happened in Singapore, Taiwan, Korea, Japan, all within 25 years.
This right here is literally giving excuse to these maniacs for failing to govern and failing to mature and civilize their own brains. And when so many people try to justify that failure of leadership in Africa and blame it on democracy and say it's the system which is not working, it's not the system, it's the human element which is not working. No matter what kind of system that you bring, as long as there is no intent and willingness. And after our liberation struggles, we had already structures within these liberation organizations. And those are the very people which came back and took over power. They became leaders. And to this day, those are the very people that we had. And the problem is the human element. These people who became leaders, they did not have the intention and the good heart and to try and implement anything at all that improves their own people. They thought of themselves, the human element of selfishness. To start with, they never welcomed democracy for their own selfishness. It's not about because it doesn't fit in our social structures. That is nonsense. Average person yearns for real democracy. Those who understand what actually democracy is, they yearn for true democracy because it gives us at least the leeway and the ability to stand up against anybody who goes into power and does not do what is right for the people. But any other system which takes away that accountability and responsibility from the people, it is over, because at the end of the day, the human element is still there. Many people say, why can't we continue with our chiefs and kings as we had them before? Because this is what we understood. That is just simply another form of dictatorship. How did it work? If you actually study history, you will still understand these kings were simply dictators who brutally treated their own people. It's not necessarily that it was a prosperous society and fair society for everybody. That's why nobody will ever go back to that anyway. And we need to understand one thing. Where does this whole system that we imagine or that we talk about fit into the modern world? Because no matter what you do, the world is progressing. Globalization is a reality that we live today. We cannot run away from that. We cannot go back into the Stone Age. How does that system of kingdomship and chiefdomship will then fit into the global picture so that we can still compete and be able to advance with civilization? We still have monarchs around the world. You can go to countries in the Middle East, especially the Gulf countries, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, and the UAE. What do you see there? Luckily, their populations are smaller, they have a lot of oil money, but at the end of the day, the human element is there. The monarchs are filthy rich. They buy useless things, gold-plated Lamborghinis and whatsoever. Is that fair distribution of resources to everybody? Is that fair? No, it's not. The problem that we have in Africa is that the first generation of leaders did not leave. They're still there because change is inevitable. If you keep on moving, new people keep on coming into power, then you are bound to change. Change will be brought in and reforms will be brought in by new blood. Look at what the Chinese did. That's the main important thing. What the Chinese did was they did not get stuck on one ideology with one generation of leaders. Imagine in China if Mao was still a president today. Where would China be? Probably nowhere. They had a difficult time during Mao's rule because he was a hardcore communist. But what happened when Deng Xiaoping came into power? He brought in reforms, followed by the rest of the leaders that came to this day with Xi Jinping. They keep moving and they keep implementing reforms. They keep on changing. The Communist Party that Mao led is not the same Communist Party that Xi Jinping is leading today. They kept on changing. They kept on implementing different reforms and different policies. They took out what doesn't work and put in new things that works. That's why they have a system. It's not perfect, but at least it's producing results. The problem with Africa, whatever we inherited, yes, we inherited whatever we inherited, but never changed anything. If anything, even that democracy, we know we have so many disadvantages and so many loopholes within democracy itself. It's not the best system in the world. But if they tried, at least had the intent to try and implement democracy or adjust it to suit the situation in Africa, we would have been at a better place. But the problem, we got stuck with the same generation of leaders who are completely stuck in their own minds, who are completely uncivilized in their brains. They don't have the intent to improve anything within their societies. They're stuck in the monarchs and the leadership era that it's all about themselves, and it's about themselves getting rich and stealing everything from the people and oppressing their own people. Imagine where China was in 76. We all, some of our African countries, most of them had independence already by 76. And China was also still suffering under Mao. But they look at how much they have transformed. It is the human element in Africa. The problem is the black mind. That is what is the problem in Africa. That is the challenge in Africa. It's nothing else. Do not blame democracy. Do not blame any system. You can bring any system that you can imagine in the world that you think works somewhere else or wherever. But as long as the people don't have the good intent, if we don't have good leaders, none of it is going to work. None of it is going to be implemented.